The retro video game marketplace has officially crashed, exactly as most alternative investment strategies currently.
In July of 2021, the video game world was shocked when a sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sold for $1.5 million, by far the most expensive
That's more than I have ever had in my life. That's more than I will ever have in my life. Wow.
video game ever sold. In the years prior, sealed video games had skyrocketed in price, increasing in value by 1,000% or more. This prompted me to look into the situation.
Yeah, that's sustainable. Yeah, I'm sure 1,000% increase in value is sustainable. Yeah, I'm sure.
And find out what was happening. In August of 2021, I released a video calling out fraud and deception in the retro video game market. More specifically, I outlined in detail how the video game grading company, Wata Games, and the auction house Heritage Auctions colluded together to create an artificial speculative bubble in order to funnel
I have not seen that video. Sounds interesting though.
money from the public and personally profit. The response to that video was amazing, with almost universal agreement from the wider community that what was going on was not only morally wrong, but also likely illegal. I did receive some pushback.
Manipulating prices of anything is always illegal, by the way. If you can fit in the manipulation of prices in a sentence together, yeah, that's always illegal.
However, from a small percentage of people. And one of the things some people disagreed with is that I said there was indeed a speculative bubble. Some people were upset by this, and they claimed there wasn't a bubble and that video games really were worth this much money. It wasn't
Sure.
that there was a bubble, it was just that video games were previously undervalued and are now just catching up. When I made my assessment, I looked at the speed at which prices increased. I looked at
You know what's the biggest problem, by the way, with these things as a financial instrument? Is the fact that they are held by people. And people will increase the price of anything the moment they see the opportunity. So, something as unregulated as this, something that is pretty much just controlled by individuals, the moment you see something like a Mario 64 selling for 2 million, you're bumping the price up by at least a couple of times. Because, well, if that was worth a couple of mil, mine's worth at least 100K. And this is what happens. And then no one buys it, and at one point everything crashes. Because the moment prices start to go up like this, you have other people that are adjacent to this space, or people who are trying to earn a quick buck, which most likely succeed, by the way. They enter it real fast, swoop up the things before the peak has been reached, and then just sell everything. And when they start to lose profit, they know it's over, and they just sell everything as fast as possible because they don't care, and they collapse the market. Okay? This is how these things happen. So you need to be really careful with investments like this, because yes, they are going to go up over time, but it's not going to be a situation where it goes up 1,000% over 2 years. That doesn't happen. That is not real. That is a quick way to lose all that you have. Admittedly, if you lose all that you have with investments like this, with being that clueless, I have no pity for you, but that's a different story.
at who was involved in creating the market. I looked at how much market manipulation there was, and I compared that to similar bubbles in the past. And I believed that the prices were way too high, and were driven almost entirely by speculation. Well, both opinions can't be right. Someone had to be wrong. It's been 2 years since I made that video, and I think that's enough time to check in with the market and see where it's at. And as it turns out, I was completely correct. Since 2021, sealed video game prices have plummeted. Across the entire board, prices are down 50 to 90% and sometimes even more. Some people...
You know what's the funny part though? I didn't actually check what this graph was at the start. This one right here. I didn't read anything that's written on this, but I have a feeling that this is the price. No, I have no idea what the PGC 3000 index is. Okay, so I have no idea what this is. But this is about right how the market should work, right? Because the reality is, when this bubble right here crashes, it doesn't go back to where it was. it goes back to slightly above where it was. So that's quite a funny thing that tends to happen pretty often. Well, it's pretty often, which is hilarious in my opinion. That the bubble pops, but the bubble doesn't fully burst. There's still remnants of it, and it's no longer a bubble.
Plummeted. Across the entire board, prices are down 50 to 90% and sometimes even more. Some people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on a single game, and it wouldn't surprise me if some people lost millions in total. In today's video, we will take a look at some of the biggest losers. We will compare the price they bought the game at with the price they sold the game to see just how much money they lost. And there will be no excuse here because almost all of these purchases were made well after my video came out. The information was available, and yet people continued to buy. I really hope you enjoy.
Of course they're not going to look up information. Because looking up information, first of all, implies that that person is capable of understanding said information, which is not necessarily always true, by the way. Which is hilarious.
Now, legends, it's that time again when I tell you to look after yourself, and that's why today's video sponsor is Geology, who offer award-winning skin, hair, and body products.
Oh, wow! An absolute blatant ripoff. Do not buy Geology. Just ask some kind of girl that does makeup to tell you what to do. You don't even need to actually know them. Just find someone who uses makeup. Ask them to give you tips. They're not gonna eat your heart out or anything like that. Do not use Geology. It's a blatant scam. It just gives you overpriced products that you can get in the store. Okay? I could tell you 3 products at random and it would probably be as good as Geology, okay? So, do not waste your money on that.
Make a video like this, people like to cry and claim that I'm saying that video game collecting is a scam, or that video game grading is a scam. This is usually just an emotional reaction because
it is. Video game grading is a 100% scam. We actually have blatant proof of that. Anyone remember when Logan Paul bought the Pokemon box thing? And they had an expert from one of the big companies come in and say, is this authentic or not? And their way of telling is it authentic or not was just looking at the plastic and being like, yeah, this looks wrinkly and kind of old-ish. Yeah, definitely. Good enough. Bro, grading is 100% a blatant scam, okay? Because, again, that company, by the way, had to close down after that because that was, like, one of their top best experts who got ripped off in the most easiest way possible. Bro, the way he graded was that box real. You can get the same effect just by spraying it with light water and then using a fan not set to mega hot. There you go. Now it looks old. That is crazy.
Because it's not based on anything I've ever said. I love video game collecting, and I also buy graded video games. I want the world's population to love video games so much they become extremely valuable. This is because I want people to love the things I love. That's just human nature. What I despise is people who don't really care about video games, just using them to try and make money. They buy a game and try to sell it to someone else for a higher price.
Yep.
These people add nothing of value to society. They prey on the love and passion people have for gaming.
Yes, and I 100% think that's a good thing to do. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about that. I think it's right. I think might makes right. And if you're gonna get got by someone like this, you deserve it.
And use their wealth as a weapon to steal money from others. Speculation is the problem. Not collecting, not grading, not auction houses, just greed. The only way this practice stops is if people start losing money, which is why all of the following examples are great for collectors. So I don't...
No. Okay? The reality is also... This is like a Reddit nuclear revenge type of situation where some loser gets absolutely whacked for a couple of years, then something happens and their boss goes and lives a better life because of them, okay? No. The vast majority of people who enter the market by this assumption, they actually get money out of it because they know that they need to enter it as fast as possible, get a decent return, and leave as fast as possible. They're not risking anything much. They know what's happening. The people who get actually got here are people, well, like him, who want this to be a big thing and succeed. So they buy something expensive and they hold it. Essentially, this is all the crypto diamond hand huddle my way to a billionaire status. Okay, just people who are stupid. Okay, most people who are smart and use these opportunities, they make money, they get out, nothing bad happens to them.
Don't have to keep repeating myself during the video. All of my comparisons will be for the same game, the same print, and the same grade in order to make the comparisons as relevant as possible. Oftentimes as well, even the same copy. Let's begin with an absolute doozy. Madden NFL is a popular sports series that has been running for over 30 years, and its first installment came out in 1990 for the Sega Genesis. Often with popular franchises, the first game in the series is highly valued, and in January 2022, a copy sold for $480,000. Heritage Auctions really hyped this game up, even including a video explaining how rare and amazing it was. 1 year later, in January of 2023, a copy sold for $21,600, a 96% drop in value and a loss of almost $500,000 in 12 months. Tomb Raider is a classic.
Wait. Did I miss the original price? Oh.
Heritage Auctions really hyped this game up, even including a video explaining how rare and amazing it was. 1 year later, in January of 2023, a copy sold for $21,600, a 96% drop in value and a loss of almost $500,000 in 12 months.
Is this by the same people who bought it, or what exactly is here? Wait, this is a kind of bad example. I don't understand. Did these people buy this for this much and then sell it for 20K? Is that what's happening here? Because this is a really bad way to explain things, I'm not gonna lie. Or did they already have the copy and then they tried it to sell it for $500,000 and then it dropped down to this? Is that... Which one is happening here? I really don't understand.
A copy sold for $21,600.
I hope I didn't miss it. I hope I didn't miss it at the start here. That would be awkward.
96% drop in value and a loss of almost $500,000 in 12 months. Tomb Raider is a classic, the franchise is very popular, and one of the few gaming IPs that transitioned relatively successfully to the big screen, and it all started with the 1996 release on the PlayStation. In July 2021, a 9.4A copy sold for $144,000. 2 years later, a 9.4A++ copy, a copy that has an even better grade, sold for just under $5,000. A 97...
Okay, yeah, okay, now I understand. I'm not missing anything. This is just super sadly conveyed. Okay, so, this conveys nothing. This doesn't give us any information. So yeah. So, this sold at 2021 for this much, and later on it sold again, a different grade for a different price? We have no information. Is there some kind of evil reseller who got by this? What happened here? Did this same... It's not even the same copy, so... Who's saying the evil resellers are getting got? It's probably some idiot who doesn't understand how these things work and is just buying this by mortgaging their house. I mean, damn, Carl. Here's Carl's channel, by the way. We watch him time to time. Dude, this is a super bad and uninformative video. I'm like confused, and information is just that I don't think Carl understands what he's trying to convey here. Is there the action owner's name? Big Sword Silly blah blah blah. includes buyer's premium.
One,
Okay.
a 9.4A copy sold for $144,000. 2 years later, a 9.4A++ copy, a copy that has an even better grade, sold for just under $5,000.
Yeah, so we don't even know if this is the same seller. I mean, what is this? Does this tell us? Yeah, it's just this is what happens when this kind of bubble just pops. That's it. This doesn't tell us that anyone got.
A 97% drop, and a loss of $140,000. And this past weekend, a 9.4A+ copy sold for just $4,000. Resident Evil is another hugely popular franchise. The survival horror series includes some amazing games, and again, it's another gaming franchise that did fairly well after it made the transition into movies.
Nice.
Resident Evil started with the 1996 release on the PlayStation. In October 2021, a copy of the original Resident Evil sold for $264,000. This was the long box variant, which is rarer and attracts a much higher price. Several days ago, on November 3rd, the same copy sold for $38,400.
Okay, so in this case, it's probably someone who got screwed. I'm not sure. Because again, here's the problem. Again, this is so badly done. Okay, so here we have someone buying a copy for 264K, right? Maybe this person sold it after for, I don't know, 300K, and then there's a third buyer who buys it. I don't even
Box
know.
variant, which is rarer and attracts a much higher price. Several days ago, on November 3rd,
yeah, and it's seemingly the same thing. Okay. So this was maybe a reseller who tried to make easy tendies but didn't. Maybe it's someone from the fandom. I don't know. This is like, there's so much doubt here.
the same copy sold for $38,400, a loss of over $200,000. Now, when I say the same copy, I mean it's literally the same copy. This Resident Evil is from the Dreamer collection, and we can also tell it's the same copy from the identifier on the back. But what's interesting is that it's even the exact same picture that was used in both auctions.
Well, yeah. That does make a lot of sense, by the way. That does make 100% a lot of sense that it's the same picture.
Auctions always takes photos of the items they receive. So if it's the same photo, that means it never left Heritage Auctions. Someone bought this game for $264,000, kept it in the Heritage Vault for 2 years, and then sold it for $38,000. I assume they kept it at Heritage because they were hoping to flip it through a later auction for a...
Also, by the way, every time someone loses that much money, I think it's a normal person. I think this is a fan, because the people who actually do this seriously, the moment the price starts dropping, they're panic selling everything. Because because you need to understand one thing about how money works, right? Let's say you buy something for 5K. And in 5 years' time, if you sell it, you're going to get 10K. That's one situation. Now, let's say you have a situation where you spend 5K on something, and if you sell it in 2 years, you're going to earn 3K. Now, which one do you think is better? A lot of you think that there's like an actual consideration here. But if you're an actual person who does this for a living, you're instantaneously probably selling it for the 2K. Because that means that you can reinvest that money into something and make even more money. Because instead of selling it once, you have actually sold something twice. So you are most likely going to make more than that 5K, even if your next buy isn't that good, just because you reinvested that money quicker. So usually people who do that seriously, who are the evil resellers, they're not gonna have their hands stuck in a cookie jar that often. It's usually people who are actually fans of these things and want to believe.
profit, but boy, did that backfire. And this might not be the only game this person incurred a huge loss on. There were several other games that were also bought in the same auction on the 29th of October 2021 that went up for resale on November 3rd, and they were also the same copy and used the same picture. This almost certainly means they all belong to the same person. October 29, 2021, a Zelda 2 sold for $102,000. Same copy, same picture, sold on November 3rd for $14,400.
Wait, what's the difference there? 3 years. I don't know. Maybe this is... I don't know. Maybe it's the same guy. Who honestly knows? But if that... Again... This seems really strange, I'm not gonna lie. Because someone who has millions to actually dish out on this sort of stuff, that's probably a serious investor. It's probably a serious investor. Either money is not a problem for them and this was like peanuts, or there's something going on, because this is this needs more explanation.
$14,400. October 29, 2021, a Russian attack sold for $43,200. November 3, 2023, same copy, same picture, sold for $7,800. October 2021, a Twisted Metal sold for $87,000. November 2023, it sold for $17,000. A Final Fantasy originally bought for $18,000 sold for $6,600. There could be more, but in just those 5 games, this person lost $430,000.
Wait a minute. I just noticed this. This is also completely incorrect. No one's saying that someone just sniped it at a low price at that point. This doesn't mean it's the same person actually holding the things, because we see the sold date. That just means someone is actually buying them out. We don't know if it's the same person. We just know that someone is buying them out in these dates. So it's not necessarily the same guy selling it. Yeah, I just noticed this. This completely makes it questionable. Is it even the same guy selling it? It's just the fact that it's the same guy buying them now for a cheaper price. That's what we're seeing here, potentially. But even though that's not 100% guaranteed, by the way. Yeah, these things are kind of crazy, not gonna lie. But yeah, it's one person sniping them. And that's pretty reasonable, because again, it's like, if it was okay, it's not reasonable, but it's not the stupidest idea to say, hey, wait a minute, this thing was at some point worth 50k or 100k. And now I can buy it for, like, I don't know, 10% of that? And if you don't need money and you're like, okay, I'm going to probably only care of selling this in like 5 years, that's a decent investment in that case, because it's probably going to be actually worth more in that time. So this is a decent actually buy.
$430,000. And the amazing thing is they never even got to see the games they bought. Now to
someone who's doing that for money doesn't care, by the way, just FYI.
Everyone's favorite game, Tecmo Bowl. Of all of the NFL games ever released, this was definitely one of them. In January 2022, a 9.4A Plus sold for $144,000. Just over a year later, in April 2023, a 9.6A Plus, a game in better condition, sold for less than $5,000. A drop in value of almost 97%. This next example isn't as much money, but just goes to show that even obscure titles were going for ridiculous prices. In July 2021, at the peak of the bubble, this Pokepark Wii went for $22,800.
Pokemon selling for a lot is not random. Everything Pokemon sells. Pokemon are like super collectible items, okay? Everything Pokemon sells.
2 years later, it sold for $600. That's a drop in value of 97.4%. Likely the biggest percentage drop of any game sold on...
Yeah, by the way, I completely see this now that I understand, that I pay attention to the sold dates. Dude, this is someone who sees that this was once worth 23k and then just buys it for 600 because probably in 2 or 3 years it's gonna be at least worth double by default. It's a pretty decent thing to buy.
heritage auctions. We definitely need to show Sega some love, and what better way to do it than by looking at the original release of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis. In October 2021, a copy sold for $312,000. Just over a year later, in November 2022, a copy sold for $38,000, a loss of almost $300,000. And this sale was a year ago. Who knows how much lower this would sell for today? Here is an even crazier example though. In September 2021,
the person who bought it for 1/10 is not looking to sell it today. He's actually probably... He probably even knows that it actually costs less now. But he just doesn't want to try and go to the maximum floor because, you know, it's risky. Maybe someone else buys it if you think it's a good investment. These things are a lot more complicated than Coddle is telling us. And anyway, I think we get the point. Is there some kind of grand conclusion that we can get out of this, I wonder?
of around 90%. A 9.8 A++. Of course, it could even be lower. A lot of people lost a lot of money, but the people that got in early, or the collectors who sold when the time was right, became rich overnight. Prices haven't completely gone down to where...
That's not true also. That's blatantly not true, okay? Collectors don't actually sell at the highest point on average. People who actually love that stuff, they're not gonna sell at the highest point. They're gonna be greedy and think, oh, it can go more up. And then it starts to go down. And when it starts to go down, you know what the average person does? Well, they think that it's going to go up at some point, and then it goes down, 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 down. And most people don't sell. This is literally how it happens. This is why 90.9% of people fail in the stock market. Because they don't know when to sell. They make mistakes like this. It's crazy. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said 7, I guess. And, well, that was our boy Coddle. I'm done trying to pronounce your surname, okay? Coddle Jobst? I don't think that's correct. Anyway, yeah, I think this was not a good video at all. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think this was a good one. A lot of things here are just very ill-informed, and yeah. It is what it is. Anyway. This was Quizzer Sid Sin, but his other videos are really good, so, you know, check him out. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sid Sin. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.